I heard later on in the conversation, they said something to the degree of, I'm an all or nothing type person. Like I either have to, go full send mode when I go out, or I can't drink. Or a different example of that same concept would be like, I either have to, train really hard and take all the supplements, right, in the meantime, or I just sit on the couch and eat Oreos, right? And when I heard both of these things, and there were other traits that they brought up, but these are the ones that I'm just remembering off the top of my mind, I paused and I was like, do you think that belief serves you? And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, do you think that belief serves you? That you are all or nothing? That you will have to go full send mode or you have to stay in? And they're like, well, I hadn't really thought about it like that. The thing is that when we make these statements, and the thing is maybe the further on in the game you go, and this is why I think mentors and having people outside of you to speak into your life that you trust is very useful, because they can hear you speak these limiting statements over yourself, right? And I've told this story before in the past, but I'll say it again. I used to tell people that I was bad at math. Most people now would never say that I was bad at math. People would say I'm pretty good at math, right? And I thought I was bad at math until I was 26. Think about that for a second. Like, until I was 26, I thought I was bad at math. Like, isn't that crazy, right? And I say this because there are so many beliefs that we speak over ourselves, these traits that we claim to have, we claim them, right? As though they are ours, but they are not. In order to grow, your identity must be whatever is required to grow. Period. That's it. So if this season of your life requires you to be more assertive, then you would say, I have a tendency based on external circumstances to be more assertive in these types of conditions, right? And so the language has to change towards, I have a tendency towards, right? Or I have a proclivity for, rather than I am, which is definitive, certain, and end of case, meaning nothing can be done about it. And so if we can change the way we speak, we will change the way we live, because we change the way we think. Number one. Number two thing that came up. So one was obviously all the I am statements, what I would say, limiting character traits, is they talk about their own traits, but the traits are not things that serve them. And so if you have traits that you speak of yourself, you have to ask yourself, does this serve me? Does this serve me? Is this going to help me accomplish the goals that I have? And if it doesn't, then stop saying it. So here's the second thing they did that was kind of the red flag for me. I'm partially making this because I'm sure they're going to watch it. Crutches are dangerous. Superstition is dangerous. What I mean by that is that we have these things that we do, on these routines that we set. And the thing is if we become dependent on the routine, we actually become weaker as a result of it. And so that is why I am always so sensitive to religious, and I'm using quotes here, I'm using it in the literal word of religious adherence to routines, religious adherence to, how I have to wait. Like whenever you use terms like I have to, I must, we should, I need to, these are all things that you're making statements about how the world must be when you have no control over it. And so if I wanted to conquer somebody who is a competitor of mine, I would pray that they have crutches and superstitions that I can exploit. For example, if you have to drink a bottle of alcohol every night to go to bed, that is a crutch. If you have to smoke a blunt every night to fall asleep, that is a crutch. If you have to take edibles every night to fall asleep, that is a crutch. If you have to take pills every night to go to sleep, that is a crutch. And I told you at the very beginning of this video, I know this is going to piss a lot of people off. But believe it or not, there were humans hundreds of years ago that had none of these things and they slept just fine. Hundreds of years ago, there were humans who did not have coffee in the morning. There were humans who did not have pharmaceutical drugs. There were humans who did not have orange glasses. There are humans who did not have these weird rituals that we try and convince ourselves we must do, we have to do, we need to do, we cannot live without. And all they end up doing is weakening us. Because the thing is you have a level of maintenance, right? Of how you look and feel, whatever. And so what happens is, it's like when you start drinking coffee in the beginning, you feel better. And then over time, you need to drink coffee just to feel normal. And so then the benefit that coffee confers is gone. And so if you really want to get benefits from things, then you need to cycle the things that you do, which means inherently you're not going to have a routine, because the things that you're doing are constantly changing, which give you the temporary flux or benefit that it will confer to you as a result of it being novel, if you're going to do it. But most people don't do it that way. Instead, they become dependent on these superstitions about how they must go to bed every night, how they must fall asleep, and what they must take, and how they have to have their mornings, or what. Or they create a punishment for themselves, or I can't be productive, or I can't think straight, or I'm really, really agitated all day, right? That's so weak. It's so weak. It makes you so non-resilient that I would hope to compete against you. You know what I mean? I would hope that. Because I would just hope that something interrupts your magical routine and then fucks you for the day, right? I've always had the belief that I'd like to be able to sleep on a cot somewhere and be just as effective in a cot with, in a corner, in a closet, as somebody who has to have every single aspect of their life completely dialed in. I see it as the difference between the Rocky cutscene of him versus Drago in Rocky 4. Drago's got all these fancy science things that he has to do and all these supplements that he's taking, all this stuff, and Rocky's just doing his thing outdoors, getting it done. And so, as entrepreneurs, the 2 takeaways for this video for you. Number 1, be incredibly cognizant of the things that you speak of yourself. When you make I am statements, they are the strongest statements that you can make because they are deeply embedded beliefs about what you believe about yourself. And so if you say, I am this way, when you describe yourself, when you meet someone new, you meet a girl on a date and you're like, I have a short fuse, right? I have a temper. I am disorganized. I am not good with time. I am not good with money. I hate even saying this shit, right? But just to give you the types of things that people say all the time that do not serve them. Does this belief serve me? If it does not, stop fucking saying it. Period. And say something else, right? Or at the very least, if you feel compelled to have to describe this thing, then say I have a tendency or I struggle with behaviors that are this way, rather than I am, number 1. Number 2, be incredibly weary of the superstitions and routines and religion that you adhere to that you claim is the source of your productivity, creativity, alertness, mental well-being, happiness, whatever it is. Or the converse of that, if you lack it, the threats or the punishments that you speak over yourself. If I am not, I am agitated, I have a short fuse, I can't focus, I'm not productive, I don't have energy. All of these things are just weaknesses that you literally build into yourself. So stop.